Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lego Rocks 99, and I am the advocate for the reigning, defending, undisputed Prince Charming of the Vancouver Canucks, Brock Boeser. And yes, it has been a while since we've done that intro. I couldn't get the growls in there because it's early in the morning and I can't really do that to disturb anybody. Either way, though, we're talking today about Brock Boeser, and I kind of felt in a wrestling kind of mood, especially with CM Punk returning the other day on AEW. Probably one of the best pops I've heard in my lifetime, to be honest. But today's video is not about Brock Lesnar, it's not about wrestling. In fact, it's about Brock Boeser, and a really interesting piece of food for thought, I guess, you can go out there and consume regarding Brock Boeser and his overall projection into the future. So, just to get things out of the way, we need to get the formalities down here. Brock Boeser, 2015 NHL Draft pick by the Vancouver Canucks, 23rd overall. He was taken in one of the most stacked first rounds we have seen in the NHL Draft in a very long time, and ever since he made his debut with the Vancouver Canucks in 2016-17, he had been making an impact. He was absolutely fantastic with the Fighting Hawks in his rookie season, getting 60 points in 42 games played. The next season, though, a lot of the good players like Drake Caggiula and Troy Stecher, they left the organization, so players who carried over from 2016 to 2017 ended up taking a significant hit in production. Brock Boeser was one of those. He had 34 points in 32 games played this season compared to the 60 and 42 he had the year before. It was a pretty big drop-off. Either way, though, Brock Boeser making his debut with the Vancouver Canucks later that year was absolutely fantastic in the very small sample size he had. As you go throughout the years, I can't believe it's been 4 full years in the NHL already for Brock Boeser. He started off really hot in 2017-2018. It felt like he was shooting the lights out in every game he played, and he had 29 goals and 55 points in 62 games played. His season was cut short, though, when Jake Virtanen left the bench door open as he was going off on a change, and right in front of the open bench, Boeser tried to hit, I believe it was Cal Clutterbuck, and it's tough to hit Cal Clutterbuck. It's kind of a difficult task, so he kind of just pushed Boeser back, and Boeser fell into the open space in the bench that was left by the door, and he hurt his back. It was a season-ending injury, and I honestly am of the belief that if Boeser played the full season and he sustained his point production, he would have won the Calder over Barzal because they would have had similar point per games, but Boeser would have had a much higher chunk of goals. However, why am I talking about Brock Boeser's rookie season? Well, because it kind of plays into the entire conversation we're having here about the rest of his career. Ever since that rookie season, Boeser always had this identity amongst fans, and Canucks fans in particular, of being this elusive, lethal American sniper who could just come in, shoot pucks on the rush, one-time pucks in the power play, and just be an absolute goal-scoring machine. That reputation was strong. However, it wasn't really upheld in the next few years of Boeser's career. He had 26 goals in 2018-19, yes, but the lethality, the way you felt when Brock Boeser wound up for a snapshot, it wasn't the same. This was expanded upon even more when in 2019-20 he had 16 goals in 57 games played for 45 total points on the year. Come to find out, Boeser is battling wrist injuries the entire time he's going through this process, and a lot of Canucks fans are kind of saying, okay, well, even though he's scoring goals, even though he's getting assists, he's opened up this new playmaking side of his game, the Boeser sniper that we saw in year 1 hasn't really shown up again. That is, well, until this season, where Brock Boeser in 56 games played had 23 goals. Now, if you do the goal per game number, 23 divided by 56 multiplied out by 62, he was on pace for fewer goals than he had been in his rookie season, yes. But the thing with Boeser in 2020-2021, firstly, the Vancouver Canucks were absolutely terrible compared to all the other years. They were so bad this year in particular. But secondly, it's just the feeling that you get when you watch this guy out there on the ice. A lot more of Boeser's goals this year were snipes. Like pure snipes, like kind of on the rush, grip it and rip it style snipes, We had a feeling in our hearts as Vancouver Canucks fans watching Boeser this season that the rookie Boeser, he was kind of back. And we're going to go over onto this Dobber Prospects report over here. It's a fantastic read. I highly recommend you go ahead and read this. Goldie Pucks and the Three Skaters, Patrick Kane, Brock Boeser, and Victor Hedman, published by Rick Ruse on August 11th. And the reason we're going over this piece is because they do a very good in-depth write-up on Brock Boeser and statistically compare other players throughout NHL history who have equaled or bested Boeser's cumulative goals per game and shots on goal rates. Now, it's listed here in the article, but it says, over Boeser's first 5 years, including his 9-game first campaign, his cumulative goals per game and shots on goal rates are, respectively, .38 goals per game and 2.85 shots on goal per game. Other players who have met or exceeded both criteria in their first 5 seasons since 2000-2001 were Alex Ovechkin, Ilya Kovalchuk, Rick Nash, Henrik Zetterberg, David Pastrnak, Alex Semin, Danny Heatley, Vladimir Tarasenko, and James Neal. The article's initial premise at the beginning of the Brock Boeser segment asks the question as to whether or not we should resign ourselves to Boeser not being a point-per-game player. Which is why the next sentence here says that only Tarasenko failed to have at least 2 point-per-game seasons, with all but him, Neal and Nash, recording at least 2 seasons of 90-plus point scoring paces by age 27. What this pretty much means is that Boeser is in fantastic company when it comes to shooting pucks on goal and having those shots actually enter the net. The next paragraph here in the Dobber Hockey piece goes over the differences between Brock Boeser's shooting metrics in the previous few years, and it's a lot of stuff. You can try to read it here. I mean, it's understandable, for sure, but it's a lot of numbers, and I think it's a lot easier to just say, hey, he's becoming a more selective and accurate shooter. However, we are not seeing his shots on goal per game rate falling off a cliff due to him being more selective. It's essentially a best-of-all-worlds situation that bodes very well for him in future seasons. By the way, if you're wondering how this is measured up, it's because they take a look at the ratio of shots on goal with different distances from the net in different years, and they compare it to previous seasons. It's really intricate, which is why I recommend you go ahead and read this piece for sure. But the article brings up another very interesting point as well in the next paragraph. It is good to see that Boeser's offensive zone percentage start was a career low of 59.5% after averaging 64.2% over his previous 4 seasons in the league. His most frequent center, JT Miller, also saw a lower offensive zone percentage starting time, but unlike Miller, whose scoring dropped off in response, Boeser's rose, signifying that he is a complete player who does not need the start in the offensive zone to produce. On top of this, his secondary assist percentage also dropped to a career low in 2020-2021, meaning that he is becoming a bigger catalyst of offense directly off of his stick in the bad Vancouver 2021 pandemic year compared to previous seasons before that. After a few more statistical analyses over here, it does say at the end of the article that if everyone in Vancouver is healthy for 2020-2021, I do believe that should say 2021-2022 because 2021 already happened, Boeser should taste 80 points and likely stay above that level for seasons to come with a ceiling at or above 90 points. And, you know, when you take a look at it like that, it's not really wishful thinking anymore, you know? It's taking a look more so at statistics and historical comparables and acknowledging how good some of these other guys have been. It's kind of funny that Boeser is in the same boat as the Kovalchuks and the Nashes and Ovechkin is kind of in his own territory there, but James Neal and Tarasenko, these guys were all pretty good players in their primes. Not to mention Zetterberg and Pastrnak, too. So for Brock Boeser to technically be a part of that conversation, it does kind of get my Canucks heart really giddy, you know? Like, we haven't had somebody like this in a very long time, and it's kind of funny because Boeser is not even, like, the second best guy on the team if you ask most people, because a lot of people would say, yeah, Petey and Hughes, you could even argue Miller are better than Boeser. Is this depth right here? Is this something that the Vancouver Canucks have not had in, like, a decade? I'm not even talking about Connor Garland and Dickinson and Podkolzin and Höglander either. I'm talking about just one guy over here. So I'm going to try my best to just use all the karma that I've attempted to build up over the years on this one season. Just pray to the hockey gods. Yeah, nobody gets injured. Please, I don't want Petey to sit out half the season again. And we hope that JT Miller and all them don't get infected again because we want the best case scenario for not just Brock Boeser, but for everybody else on the team. For Boeser in particular, though, if he gets 80 points, this would be the first time we had 80 points since the Sedins. That happened 10 years ago. Miller had 70 the previous year, and that was one of the highest we had seen since Henrik and Daniel, but like, Brock, dude, there's a reason they call him the beast incarnate himself. Talk to me in the comments, though, what you think about the entire conversation here, the comparables, the statistics, shots on goal rates, shooting percentages, and all that. Are you as hyped up about Boeser as I am now after reading this article? And if you're not, then please go ahead, reread the article again, because it's a very good read for sure. Link is in the description as always. But talk to me in the comments what you think. If you enjoyed this video, Trolls99, and bye.